He was born William Sidney Porter, but after leaving prison in 1901 for embezzlement of funds, he changed his name and is now renowned as a writer of surprise endings. Hello, this is Dave Arnold, and welcome to Focus on the Family Radio Theater. There's a good deal of debate as to whether he was actually guilty of the charges. Nevertheless, O. Henry decided that a clean slate was the best way for his writing career to evolve. His new name provided that opportunity. A prolific American short story writer, O. Henry published 10 collections and over 600 short stories during his lifetime. Obviously a lover of holiday fiction, his first published work was Whistling Dick's Christmas Stocking, which appeared in McClure's magazine. Subsequent Yuletide stories include A Chaparral Christmas Gift, Compliments of the Season, and An Unfinished Christmas Story, which he probably started several years before his death. But the stories featured herein are two that perhaps best encompass the spirit of the season and O. Henry's style. Join us now as Focus on the Family Radio Theater presents O. Henry's Christmas short stories, Christmas by Injunction, and The Gift of the Magi.
Cherokee was a prospector and the civic father of a new mining town constructed mainly of canvas and undressed pine. One day, while his burro was eating pine burrs, Cherokee unearthed a nugget weighing a full 30 ounces. He staked his claim and then, being a man of breadth and hospitality, sent out invitations to his friends in 3 states to drop in and share his luck. Not one of the invited guests sent regrets. They rolled in from the Gila country, from Salt River, from the Pecos, from Albuquerque and Phoenix and Santa Fe, and from the camps intervening. When 1,000 citizens had arrived and taken up claims, they named the town Yellowhammer, appointed a vigilance committee, and presented Cherokee with a watch chain made of nuggets. 3 hours after the presentation ceremonies, Cherokee's claim played out. He had located a mere pocket instead of a vein. He abandoned it and staked others one by one. Luck had written him off. Never afterward did he turn up enough gold dust in Yellowhammer to pay his bar bill. But his 1,000 invited guests prospered, and Cherokee was happy to smile and congratulate them. Yellowhammer was made up of men who took off their hats to a smiling loser, so they asked Cherokee to tell him his plans for the future.
Me? Oh, I reckon I'll prospect along up in the Mariposas. If I strike it up there, I'll most certainly let you all know about the facts. I never was any hand to hold out cards on my friends.
Well, no, that's true.
In May, Cherokee packed his burro and turned its thoughtful, mouse-colored forehead to the north. Many citizens escorted him to the undefined limits of Yellowhammer and bestowed upon him shouts of commendation and farewells. He was reminded to consider Yellowhammer his home, a place where he had a perpetual commission for his bed, bacon and eggs, and hot water for shaving, in the event that luck did not see fit to warm her hands by his campfire in the Mariposas. Cherokee's name, by the way, was given to him by the gold hunters, in accordance with their popular practice of doing such things. The majority of the names found among these people were formed out of personal peculiarities. For example, many folks were easily dubbed geographically from the regions from which they confessed to have hailed. Cherokee derived his title from the fact that he claimed to have lived for a time with that tribe in the Indian Nation. Such names as Shorty, Bowlegs, Texas, Lazy Bill, Thirsty Rogers, Limping Riley, and California Ed were also in favor. A few vainglorious and shameless people dared to reveal their proper and indisputable names. This was held to be unduly arrogant and did not win popularity. One man, who said he was Chesterton L.C. Belmont and proved it by letters, was given till sundown to leave the town. On the 20th day of December, Baldy, the mail rider, brought the citizens of Yellowhammer a piece of news.
What do I see in Albuquerque but Cherokee all embellished and festooned up like the Czar of Turkey and lavishing money in bulk? His pockets looked like a pool tables after a 15-ball run.
He must have struck pay dirt. Well, I am much obliged to him for his success.
I should think Cherokee would swagger down to Yellowhammer and see his friends. Don't you agree, California Ed?
Oh, yeah.
But that is most often the way. Prosperity is the finest cure there is for lost forgetfulness.
Hold on, Judge. I'm coming to that. Now, Cherokee strikes a 3-foot vein up in the Mariposas and sells it out to a syndicate outfit for 100,000 hasty dollars in cash. Then he buys himself a baby sealskin overcoat and a red sleigh. And what do you think he takes it in his head to do next?
Become a gambling fool?
Nope. Cherokee took me to a room and showed me. He's got that room full of drums and dolls and skates and bags of candy and jumping jacks and such infantile stuff. And what do you think he's going to do with them knickknacks? Don't surmise none. Cherokee told me he's going to give an imitation of Santa Claus.
What? Santa Claus?
He's got a white wig, whiskers that disfigure him up exactly like the pictures of this overgrown elf, and a red suit of fur-trimmed outside underwear, and 8-ounce gloves, and a stand-up, lay-down, crocheted red cap. He's gonna drive down here to Yellowhammer and give the kids of this here town, the biggest Christmas tree and the biggest crying doll and a little giant boy's tool chest blowout that was ever seen west of the Cape Hatteras.
I cannot construe what Cherokee was thinking. Can you?
Well, Judge, if I knew what that word construe meant, I might know how to answer.
I'm just saying that what he's doing doesn't make an iota of sense.
Oh. Yeah. And that's a surprise. I mean, what with Yellowhammer being Cherokee's town, he should have known better.
Knowed better.
Yeah, although, come to think of it, now he's been gone from Yellowhammer over 7 months. It just must have slipped his mind.
What are the two of you talking about? What slipped his mind?
Baldy, need we remind you that the Yellowhammer population does not contain any children? Not a single one. And knowing the ages of the childbearing women in this town, none loom on the horizon. For some reason, we've not yet attracted the child-rearing crowd.
Yeah, the town ain't settled in enough yet, I reckon.
Oh, plumb forgot about that. Oh, well. That puts a bit of a damper on Cherokee's whole Santa plan, don't it?
Sure does.
Well, when is he coming over with his hoard of plenty?
Morning before Christmas.
Why, that's in 4 days.
Yup. Oh, and he wants a room fixed up and a Christmas tree, hauled and ready.
Oh, well, it'd be a disgrace to Yellowhammer if it lets Cherokee down on his good gesture. You might say that man made this town.
He did.
And for one, I'm going to see what can be done to give Santa Claus a square deal.
My cooperation would be gladly forthcoming. I'm indebted to Cherokee for past favors, but I do not see how we can,
Oh, well, just keep your teeth in, Judge. Now, here's the plan. I am going to hitch up a team and rustle a load of kids for Cherokee's Santa Claus Act. Even if I have to rob an orphan asylum.
I will accompany you.
Good.
Is robbing kids legal?
Oh, we'll not steal them. But perhaps such eloquence and gift of language as I possess will be of benefit in persuading our young friends to lend themselves to our project.
Oh, yeah.
Within an hour, Yellowhammer was acquainted with the scheme of California Ed and the judge and approved it. Citizens who knew of families with offspring within a 40-mile radius of Yellowhammer came forward and contributed their information. California Ed made careful notes of all such and then hastened to secure a vehicle and team. He and the judge departed for their honorable journey on Tuesday, 2 days before Santa's arrival. The first stop scheduled was at the Wildersnaps. a log house 15 miles out from Yellowhammer. Mr. Wildersnap opened the door at California Ed's hail and then came down and leaned upon the rickety gate. The doorway was filled with a close mass of youngsters, some ragged, all full of curiosity and health.
It's this way, Mr. Wildersnap. We're from Yellowhammer, and we come kidnapping, in a gentle kind of way.
That's right,
See, one of our leading citizens is bound and determined to be Santa Claus. And he's due in town tomorrow with half the falderalls that's painted red and made in Germany. Now, the youngest kid we got in Yellowhammer packs a .45 and a safety razor. Well, consequently, you see, we're mighty shy on anybody to say oh and ah when we light the candles on the Christmas tree. Now, partner, if you just loan us a few kids, we guarantee to return them safe and sound on Christmas Day.
Absolutely.
Oh, and they'll come back loaded down with a good time. And Swiss Family Robinsons and cornucopias and red drums and similar festive items. So, what do you say?
In other words, we've discovered for the first time in our embryonic but progressive little city the inconveniences of the absence of adolescence, the season of the year having approximately arrived during which it is custom to bestow frivolous but often appreciated gifts upon the young and tender members.
I understand. I guess I needn't detain you gentlemen. Me and the old woman have got 7 kids, so to speak, and running my mind over the bunch, I don't appear to hit upon none that we could spare for you to take over to your doings.
Oh.
You see, the old woman has got some popcorn candy and rag dolls hid in the clothes chest, and we allow to give Christmas a little whirl of our own in an insignificant sort of style. No, I couldn't seem to fall in with the idea of letting none of them go. Thank you kindly, gentlemen. Bye.
Not the most magnanimous start to our journey.
Shoot, that one family could have filled our cookie jar, too. Well, let's press on, yeah?
Down the slope they drove, and up another foothill to the ranch house of Wiley Wilson. California Ed recited his appeal, and the judge boomed out his ponderous antiphony. Mrs. Wiley gathered her 2 rosy-cheeked youngsters close to her skirts and did not smile until she had seen Wiley laugh and shake his head. Again, the 2 men from Yellowhammer were refused. California Ed and the judge vainly exhausted more than half their list before twilight set in among the hills. They spent the night at a stage road hostelry and set out again early the next morning. The wagon had not acquired a single passenger.
It's creeping upon my faculties, Judge, that borrowing kids Christmas is something like trying to steal butter from a man that's got hot pancakes coming.
Yeah.
On the day before Christmas, they drove 30 miles, making 4 fruitless halts and appeals. Everywhere they found kids at a premium. No one was willing to part with them over the Christmas holiday. The sun was low when they pulled up their mules to the railroad eating house at Granite Junction. The train had just departed with its load of fed and appeased passengers. On the steps of the eating house, they found a thin and glowering boy of 10 chewing tobacco. The dining room had been left in chaos by previous nomads and their appetites. A youngish woman reclined, exhausted, in a chair. Her face wore sharp lines of worry. She had once possessed a certain style of beauty that would never wholly leave her and would never wholly return. California Ed proclaimed his spiel, and the woman replied,
I'd count it a mercy if you'd take Bobby for a while.
Well,
I'm on the go from morning till night, and I don't have time to tend to him. He's learning bad habits from the men. It'll be the only chance he'll have to get any Christmas.
The men went outside and conferred with Bobby, the judge regaling him with their offer.
And moreover, my young friend, Santa Claus himself will personally distribute the offerings that will typify the gifts conveyed by the shepherds of Bethlehem to the babe.
Oh, come on. I ain't no kid. There ain't any Santa Claus. It's a fairy tale.
Is that so?
Yep.
Well, Mr. Know-It-All, Christmas trees ain't no fairy tale. And this one's gonna look like the 10-cent store in Albuquerque, all strung up in a redwood. Why, there's tops and drums and Noah's Arks.
Oh, I gave up on those kid toys a long time ago.
Oh.
I'd like to have a rifle. Not a target one, a real one to shoot wildcats with. But I guess you won't have any of them on your old tree.
Well, can't say for sure. Might, though. You go along with us and see.
Well, I reckon I ain't got nothing better to do. But I better get a rifle.
In Yellowhammer, the empty storeroom had been transformed into what might have passed as the garden dwelling of an Arizona fairy. The ladies had done their work well. A tall Christmas tree, covered to the topmost branch with candles, spangles, and toys sufficient for more than a score of children, stood in the center of the floor. Near sunset, anxious eyes had begun to scan the street for the returning team of the child providers. At noon that day, Cherokee had dashed into town with his new sleigh piled high with bundles and boxes and bales of all sizes and shapes. So intent was he upon the arrangements for his altruistic plans that the absence of children did not receive his notice. For all he knew, there were scores of them, and no one in Yellowhammer was going to tell him otherwise. However, when they returned from their mission, California Ed and the judge, bearing the marks of protracted travel, entered, conducting between them a single impish boy who stared with sullen, pessimistic eyes at the gaudy tree.
I don't see me no rifle.
Well, this is a fine adornment. If I didn't know better, I'd say it was the abode of Kris Kringle himself.
It sure is. Which sort of makes me wonder where Santa is. Baldy?
Huh?
Well, where's Santa?
You know, Cherokee. Oh. Well, he came in at noon. You should have seen him. He was riding high, his new sleigh piled high with bundles and boxes and bales of all sizes and shapes.
Yeah, so we've heard. We were accosted by half the town on our way here. They wanted a detailed account of our, success.
So, where are the rest of the children? I mean, don't want to spoil the surprise.
Baldy, prospecting for kids at Christmas time is like hunting in limestone for silver. Yeah. This parental business is one that I haven't had no chance to comprehend. See, it seems that fathers and mothers are willing for their offspring to be drowned, stole, fed on poison oak, and et by cougars 364 days in the year. But on Christmas Day, they insist on enjoying their company. Yep. Now, this here young boy is all that washes out of our 2 days' efforts.
Well, one kid's better than none, I suppose.
Who's a kid? You ain't, you old hairless geezer.
Maybe none's better after all.
We done the best we could. It's tough on Cherokee, but it can't be helped.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho!
Well, now, look who's here. Merry Christmas, Santa Claus.
So, where are the children?
Well, Cherokee, Santa, we the grateful citizens of Yellowhammer didn't want to presume upon the goodness of your gestures by overwhelming you with too many. Well, you see, this time of year,
Here he is.
Hey, don't push.
Yeah.
This is all? I'd expected a few more children, as you can tell by the load of gifts I've brung. But Santa's glad to see every little boy and girl. Merry Christmas, young feller. What's your name?
I ain't no little boy, and you ain't Santa Claus. There ain't any Santa Claus. You've got old false billy goat whiskers on your face.
An unbeliever, huh?
I came here because the driver said you'd have a rifle, but you haven't. I want to go home.
Came here? What are you yammering about?
Yeah, well, have a seat, kid, while I talk to Santa here.
I'm not a kid.
Phew. This is the onlyest young'un you got here in Yellowhammer?
Well, actually, Cherokee, we ain't got none. Now, see, we didn't want your soiree here to be a bust, so we tried to hustle up a bunch of them for you. But this sardine was all we could catch. Now, it's a shame for you to be out all these fine gifts, but me and the judge was sure we could round up a wagon full of candidates for these here trinkets.
Oh, that's all right. The expense don't amount to nothing worth mentioning. We can dump the stuff down a shaft for all I care. I don't know what I was thinking about. It never occurred to me that there wasn't any kids here. Well, let me see if I can't make something out of the one we got. Excuse me, California Ed.
Well, sure, Cherokee.
Well, here goes. Mind if I sit?
It's your party, Santa.
It is at that. But since the jig is up, I suppose I can dispose of the costume. Where do you live, young man?
Granite Junction.
Ooh, ouch. I don't know how Santa doesn't sweat himself skinny with all the hair and whiskers he sports. Ah, that's better.
Hey, without your outfit, you look kinda familiar. I think I've seen you before.
I doubt it. Santa ain't never been to your house, except maybe to deliver a lump of coal.
A lump of coal would be better than what I got presently, which is nothing.
Yeah. Oh, 8:15. If you want to get home for Christmas, we'd best be for moving.
Where'd you get that watch? My mom has a watch just like that.
Like this?
Yeah.
What's your name, buddy?
Robert Lumsden. I prefer Bobby.
So do I. Just a minute. California Ed, give this boy some food. I'm gonna shed these Christmas studs and hitch up my sleigh. The boy's spending Christmas with his folks.
Will do.
Yeah, giddy up.
I know where I've seen you before.
Yeah, where's that?
On the bureau at home.
On the bureau?
Yeah, your picture's there. My mother puts it under her pillow some nights. I saw her kiss it once. I wouldn't, but women are that way.
Hey, kid, what are you doing?
Having some tobacco. You want a pinch?
No. And you're not having any neither. Throw that tobacco away.
All right.
Throw the whole lot away, too.
What?
Boy, I said to throw it away. And I meant it.
All right.
That's better.
Nobody never made me do nothing I didn't want to do before.
Tell me, kid. Are you sure your mother kissed that picture that looks like me?
Dead sure. I seen her do it.
I guess there's always hope, kid.
Huh?
9:30. We'll hit Granite Junction plumb on time with Christmas Day. Are you cold? Sit closer.
Who are you, mister?
Well, I already told you. In these parts, I'm known as Santa Claus. Or Cherokee. But other places, I go by my given name. Samuel. Lumsden.
Huh?
But you can call me Pa.
From that day on, Cherokee gave wind to worry and went by his proper name. He'd been Cherokee for many years, a man whose only love was gold and the joys that taking and giving of the yellow dust could bring to man. But as Samuel Lumsden, he resumed the most valuable role of all, receiving and giving the best gift possible, husband and father. Bobby woke up the next morning to a silver-mounted rifle. Mrs. Lumsden woke up to her long-lost husband. And Cherokee, sidetracked by the vanity of life for a season, he was given the gift he most needed: his family. $1.87. That was all. And 60 cents of it was in pennies. Pennies saved 1 and 2 at a time by bulldozing the grocer and the vegetable man and the butcher until one's cheeks burned in embarrassment at the miserly implications of such pinching. 3 times Della counted it.
$1.87. And tomorrow is Christmas. Oh, Sally, what should I do? I can't buy Jim a decent present with this.
Jim doesn't expect a fine present, Della. You know that.
But I want to give him something special. He deserves it, Sally. He works so hard. And I try to make ends meet to help out. But it seems sometimes that the harder we work, the worse things get.
Oh, don't cry, Della, please.
In such situations, one is bent to feel that life is a composition of sobs, sniffles, and smiles, with sniffles predominating.
I've been saving every penny I could for months. But $20 a week doesn't go far. And our expenses have been greater than we'd expected.
They often are, I'm afraid, at the most inconvenient times. Look, don't worry, Della. You'll think of something. I mean, life always provides an answer.
But I had my heart set on getting Jim something special. Something just a little bit near to being worthy of the honor of being owned by him.
That's very sweet. Impractical, perhaps, given your circumstances, but still sweet.
Well then, I'll simply have to sell something.
What could you possibly sell? Do you have any jewelry?
No.
Silver?
None.
While the mistress of the home and her neighbor are contemplating the market value of any saleable goods, let's take a very brief look at Della and Jim's living quarters. A shabbily furnished flat at $8 per week. So much for that. In the hallway downstairs was a letterbox into which no letter would go and an electric button from which no mortal finger could coax a ring, with a card just above bearing the name Mr. James Dillingham Young. The Dillingham had been flung to the breeze during a former period of prosperity when James was being paid $30 a week. Now that their income had shrunk to $20, they were thinking of contracting the Dillingham to a more modest and unassuming D. But whenever Mr. James Dillingham Young came home, he was called Jim and greatly hugged by Mrs. James Dillingham Young, already introduced as Della.
Nothing. It's hopeless, Sally.
Like I said before, Della, I don't believe that Jim wants anything special for Christmas anyway. He's a content man, happy with the beautiful wife he has. Della?
Sally, perhaps there is one thing. What about my hair?
Now there were 2 possessions of the James Dillingham Youngs in which they both took a mighty pride. One was Jim's gold watch that was his father's, and before that his grandfather's. The other was Della's hair. So valued were these simple treasures that King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba would have been mossy green with envy at the very thought of them. So now Della's beautiful hair fell about her, rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. It reached below her knee and made itself almost a garment for her.
Your hair? Della, you couldn't. Why, Jim loves your hair more than anything you could buy with the money you'd make from it.
But it would grow back, and the gift of selling it would be equal to the gift I'd buy with the money I made. So Jim would have 2 presents.
Oh, Della.
My mind's made up, Sally. This is what I need to do.
Steeled against the difficult task before her, Della gathered her hair up again nervously and quickly. She faltered for a minute and stood still while a parting tear or 2 splashed on the worn red carpet. On went her old brown jacket, on went her old brown hat. Sally's continuing arguments fell on deaf ears. The course was set. With a whirl of skirts and the brilliant sparkle still in her eyes, Della fluttered out the door, hugged her neighbor farewell, and traipsed down the stairs to the street. Three blocks, one slip, a near fall, and 1,000 goosebumps for lack of a decent coat later, Della arrived at a mean-looking little storefront.
Oh. Madam Sophronie, hair goods of all kinds. Well, best to just get on with it. Oh. Hello? Excuse me?
The room looked like an assembly of rats' nests. Otherwise, it was vacant. Until, that is, Madame emerged. Large, too white, chilly.
Yes?
Oh, do you purchase hair?
It says hair goods on the door, doesn't it?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was wondering, well,
Speak up, girl. I'm getting grayer by the minute.
Oh, will you buy my hair?
Short of cash for Christmas, eh? Take your hat off and let's have a sight at the looks of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Scissors haven't seen these wavy locks in many a year. Well, $20.
Give it to me quick.
Within minutes, years of loving care and grooming were cut and bagged for another rat's nest. Della walked out of Madame Sophronie's with a much looser hat and $20 with which to purchase a gift for her love. Oh, and the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings. Forget the hashed metaphor. She was ransacking the stores for Jim's present.
May I help you?
Yes, I'm searching for a fob for my husband's watch, but it has to be perfect.
Of course. What sort of watch is it?
It's a gold watch, an heirloom. It was his father's and his grandfather's before him.
Ah.
The fob must be as grand as the watch itself, you see. I've turned every store inside out and not found the one to match it yet.
I see. What sort of fob does he employ at present?
Well, just an old leather strap, I'm afraid. We've not been able to afford a proper fob before.
Yes, the times are difficult, aren't they? Well, I do have a wonderful fob. It's a platinum chain, simple and pure in design. Here it is. See, it's not extravagantly ornamented. The value of this piece is its substance. In my estimation, anything of real value doesn't need overblown decoration.
This is it. This must be Jim's.
It's the only one of its kind.
Oh, like Jim. This fob was made for him.
Is it worthy of the watch?
Oh, yes.
It does come dear. $21, I'm afraid.
I'll take it.
Very good, ma'am. You must have sacrificed a great deal to be able to afford this wonderful gift for your husband. He'll be so delighted.
Oh, I hope so.
Della hurried home with her grand gift and the remaining 87 cents. At 7 o'clock, the coffee was made and the frying pan was on the back of the stove, hot and ready to cook the evening chops. Jim was never late. Della clutched the fob chain in her hand and sat on the corner of the table near the door. When she heard his step on the stair down on the first flight, she turned white for just a moment. She had a habit of saying a little silent prayer about the simplest everyday things, and now she whispered,
Please, God, make Jim think I'm still pretty.
The door opened and Jim stepped in and closed it. He looked thin and very serious. When his eyes fixed upon his bride, hair cropped like a Coney Island chorus girl, he stopped, as immovable as a setter at the scent of quail. There was an expression on his face that she could not read, and it terrified her. It was not anger, nor surprise, nor disapproval, nor horror, nor any of the sentiments that she had been prepared for. He simply stared at her fixedly, with a very peculiar expression.
Della?
Jim, darling. Jim, don't look at me that way.
But what happened to your hair?
I cut it off.
You've cut off your hair.
Cut it off and sold it.
Why?
Because I couldn't have lived through Christmas without giving you a present, that's why. I just had to do it. It'll grow out again. My hair always grows awfully fast. Don't you like me just as well anyhow? I'm me without my hair, ain't I?
You say your hair is gone?
Well, you needn't look for it. It's sold. Sold and gone. It's Christmas Eve. Be good to me, 'cause I did it for you. Now, say Merry Christmas, Jim, and let's be happy. You don't know what a beautiful, nice gift I've got for you. All right? Now, are you hungry? Shall I put the chops on? Jim?
After this very awkward Christmas prelude, Jim finally seemed to wake from his trance. His face quickly warmed, and he embraced his Della.
Oh, Della, I'm sorry. You look beautiful.
I do?
Of course. I don't think there's anything in the way of a haircut or a shampoo or a shave that can make me love you any less.
Then what is it?
Well, if you'll unwrap this package, you'll see why I reacted a bit.
Oh, you bought me a Christmas present? But how?
You'll see.
It's... Oh, Jim. Oh.
No, Del, shh, come on.
Why the extravagant emotion? For there in Della's hand lay the combs. The set of combs, side and back, that Della had ached for these past many years. Beautiful combs, pure tortoiseshell, with jeweled rims, just the shade to wear in her beautiful, vanished hair. They were expensive combs, she knew, and her heart had simply craved and yearned over them without the least hope of possession. And now they were hers, but the hair that should have been adorned by the coveted adornments was gone.
Now you understand.
Yes. Oh, Jim, they're beautiful. I love them. And my hair grows so fast. In just a few years, I'll be able to... Oh, but you haven't seen your present yet. James Dillingham Young, a Merry Christmas to you.
Della held the glorious chain, the gift that cost her Nazarite vow, out to Jim eagerly upon her open palm. The dull, precious metal seemed to flash with a reflection of Della's bright and ardent spirit.
Isn't it a dandy, darling? I hunted all over town to find it. I know you've been a bit embarrassed about your leather fob. Now you won't have to be anxious about the time. You can show off your watch like it deserves. Put it on. Let's see how it looks. Jim? What? What's gotten into you?
Del, why don't we put our Christmas gifts away and keep them a while? They're too nice to use just at present.
Don't you like the fob, Jim?
I love it. It's only that... Well, I sold the watch to get the money to buy your combs. And now suppose you put the chops on.
The Magi, as you know, were wise men, wonderfully wise men, who brought gifts to the babe in the manger. They invented the art of giving Christmas presents. Being wise, Their gifts were no doubt wise ones, possibly even allowing for exchange in case of duplication. And here I have lamely related to you the uneventful chronicle of two foolish children, who most unwisely sacrificed for each other the greatest treasures of their house. But in a last word to the wise of these days, let it be said that of all who give gifts, these two were the wisest. Of all who give and receive gifts, such as they are the wisest. Everywhere they are wisest. They are the Magi.
A few interesting notes about O. Henry's name. Some sources say that he took the pseudonym from a prison guard named Orin Henry. Others believe it's an abbreviation of the name of a French pharmacist, Etienne Ossian Henry. And still others maintain that, it was the call for the family cat. Meanwhile, the famous O. Henry candy bar was not named after Porter. The Williamson Candy Company of Chicago named it after a young boy named Henry, who frequented their candy shop. Well, it seems that he, like Porter's family cat, was hailed regularly, and the developers hoped that the candy bar would be in as much demand as young Henry. Christmas by Injunction and The Gift of the Magi was written by O. Henry and dramatized by Dave Arnold. Our directors were Philip Glassborough and Dave Arnold. Sound design and mix was by Dwayne Harms, and music was composed by John Campbell. In Christmas by Injunction, our cast featured Simon Jones as O. Henry, with Phil Proctor as Cherokee, Jerry Hart as the judge, Brian Green as California Ed, Stephen Lester as Baldy, Shawn Michael as Bobby, John Schwab as Mr. Wildersnap, and Amy Finnegan as Mrs. Lumsden. In The Gift of the Magi, our cast featured Simon Jones as O. Henry, with Rhonda Miller as Della, John Schwab as Jim, Louisa Graff as Sally, Sandra Caron as Madame Sofronie, and Rolf Saxon as the clerk. And I'm Dave Arnold, your producer and host for Focus on the Family Radio Theater. Thanks for listening.